Hello and welcome, my friends. I'm Dr. Saptarshi Banerjea, presenting to you the unforgettable images of polycrest. If you see my videos, you'll see one of my oldest videos where we started the YouTube channel was with Natramure, the emotional picture of Natramure. And that kind of was the stepping stone into this discussion on polycrest. And I come back to you with another one of your finest polycrests, which you have at our hand, is Nux Vomica. I'll be sharing with you the emotional essence, the personality, the gesture, posture, behavior, how they actually behave as a person in their real life. I run a 2-year program of comparative materia medica of polycrest. It's just the discussion and comparisons of polycrest. And I'm sure many of the students are attending that program, and if you are interested, do drop me an email as well. And today I'll be sharing with you how Nux Vomica behaves and the emotional psychiatric essence of this greatest of Hahnemann's polycrests. Nux Vomica was proved by Hahnemann, and the common name is poison nut. Now, one of the important things to understand about Nux Vomica is it's one of your hydrogenoid constitutions remedies. It's one of the hydrogenoid constitution, which means they are tremendously aggravated by damp and rain and watery foods. But one of the interesting things of Nux Vomica, although it is a hydrogenoid remedy, but still it is better by damp. So it's an uncommon feature of, although it's being a hydrogenoid, but it is better from damp wet weather. Physical makeup, very irritable, zealous persons, lots of zeal to achieve, to be successful. That's Nux Vomica. Now, bilious temperament has two meanings. A, physical, which means that there is a tendency to hepatobiliary complaints, liver, gallbladder complaints, where you will find a bitter taste in the mouth. But emotionally also, bilious temperament means they're very irritable, they're bound to be very angry easily. Nux Vomica is a chilly constitution, they are chilly persons. So, heat-cold relation, they're generally chilly. We come to the disposition of Nux Vomica. As Hahnemann proved this wonderful polycrest, so never forget Hahnemann's words. If you have read Nux Vomica and you don't know what Hahnemann said about this great remedy, your information is incomplete, your knowledge is incomplete. Nux Vomica is chiefly successful with persons of an ardent character. So very enthusiastic, ardent means very enthusiastic, of an irritable, impatient temperament. Nux Vomica is always irritable, always impatient, disposed to anger, spite or deception. They can be spiteful, they can be very angry, they can even deceive you because they want to be the leaders in their ventures. So chiefly successful, of an ardent, enthusiastic character, especially professional enthusiasm, irritable, impatient temperament, who are disposed to anger, they can deceive people as well, very spiteful, they can speak words which can hurt you, which can be emotionally hurting for you. Sedentary lifestyle of Nux Vomica. The literary persons, they're always into sedentary life, so they're sitting job and they're always studying, they love to study. Hypochondriac, very anxious, studious persons. They're at home mostly, lack of exercise, lack of physical activity is there. So if you consider a Nux Vomica student who is studying for long hours, a Nux Vomica business executive who is sitting for long hours, so there is that lack of movement, they're always sitting jobs, the sedentary life, lack of exercise. And that causes them to have abdominal complaints, that causes them to have constipation. Only part of the system that is exercised is the brain and intellect. So the brain and intellect is only working and they are deprived of exercise, and that's important for Nux Vomica. Now, if you consider the personality traits, think of the top ranking CEOs, the bosses, the leaders of different organizations. They are ambitious, they want to be successful, they want to be the leader in their ventures. Always the front rank of all enterprises. They occupy the topmost places in all departments. Best doctors, best scientists, best lawyers, best commercial magnates. the leaders of their enterprise. So they want to be the Apexians. Nux Vomica want to be the toppers. They want to rule. They want to be the dictators even, if you are Nux Vomica. But one of the very interesting things mentioned by N.M. Chaudhary is they're not as pleasant as they are great. So they may be great persons. They may be the best scientists. They may be the best commercial magnates. They may be the top CEOs of the company. But they're not as pleasant people as they are great. And that's a beautiful word by N.M. Chaudhary, because you'll find that irritability, you'll find that fault-finding nature so much prevalent in Nux Vomica. And why they're not pleasant as they're great? Because they're fault-finding. You know, they're the bosses, they're the leaders. And you'd not want a Nux Vomica boss, because he's constantly criticizing you, because he's constantly blaming you. So constantly criticizing, blaming, you'll find that with Nux Vomica. Reproaches others, reproaches, blaming, criticize. Very quarrelsome. You know, they will always place their word in front of you. So, you know, this is my viewpoint and stamp. That's my authority. Authoritarian control. But if you compare that with Lycopodium's comparative Metromedica, Lycopodium is quietly right. How? You know, this is my viewpoint and I hope you understand this. So they will place their words, Lycopodium, but in a dignified way. But in the case of Nux Vomica, there is no dignified way to that. This is what I think and this is what you have to do, because I'm the boss, I'm the top CEO. So very quarrelsome. Impatient, I already shared that with you. You know, they will, it's very rare that you will, you know, they will wait for recovery. That's why you'll find Nux Vomica popping in painkillers, popping in herbal medicines, you know, whatever can make them better in quick time. So they need quick recovery because they don't want to reduce their work time. And anything that comes in the way of being a successful entrepreneur, they will try to brush it off. Ill-humored, you know, tears things, scolds, takes it out on his family and children. Not just his family, even in his subordinates in his office, Nux Vomica will take it out. But you have to understand, Nux Vomica is not a syphilitic remedy. If it was a syphilitic remedy, they would have broken things, they would have damaged things. So there is lack of physical aggression in Nux Vomica because it is not syphilitic. You find mostly sodic and psychotic traits in Nux Vomica. So they will shout, they will do through verbal aggression, they will try to vent out what they think. So you see, tearing up, scolding, shouting out, and that you'll find with always Nux Vomica. Now, one of the important things about Nux Vomica is oversensitiveness. You can be physically oversensitive, you can be mentally oversensitive. Now, if you consider physical oversensitiveness, that they cannot bear pain at all. So if they are down with a pain, it could be a joint pain, it could be a headache, it could be gastric pain, they will quickly try to put on painkillers, they will quickly try to put on herbal medicines, they will quickly try different ways which can make them better in quick time. They want it to be rapid recovery, because anything that interferes, as I shared, with the professional reach or, you know, with the professional development, they will try to brush it off. So oversensitiveness physically, in all the five senses are oversensitive: touch, odor, smell, taste, vision. Every sense is oversensitive, but even pain they cannot tolerate it. It comes very close to Chamomilla in that aspect as well. Chamomilla cannot tolerate pain as well, but Chamomilla, remember, is always worse from heat. Nux Vomica will be better from heat in that aspect. Contradiction is intolerable for Nux Vomica. You know, if you come and give Mr. Nux Vomica constructive criticism, they cannot take it in good faith, because any contradiction, anything you say against them, they cannot tolerate at all. It makes them mad. They, on the other hand, can be fault finding, they can criticize others, but as they are the top bosses, as they are the top leaders, they know, you know, I have worked my way, worked hard to achieve what I have done, to be an Apexian, and nobody is coming to give me any good advice, because they are not better than me. I am the best. So intolerant of any contradiction. You see, every harmless word offense. And even you see, Kent gives a classical example. Nux woman has impulses to destroy her husband, throw her child into the fire. Impulses intermingled with violent temper, cannot be opposed. And you see, even the opposition is such, if a chair is in the way, he kicks it over. While undressing, a part of his clothing catches on the button. You know, why is this contradiction? Why opposition? You'll tear the button off. So it can go to that extent when the pathology has progressed. So any kind of contradiction, any kind of constructive criticism is totally intolerant for Nux Vomica, whereas they can be totally fault finding of others. Total aversion to commitment, because I do not want to lose my sense of freedom. They are the apexians, they are the toppers. So anything that makes them feel that I lose my independence, they will try to brush it off. So totally no commitment at all in Nux Vomica. Again, compared to Metromedica with Lycopodium, Lycopodium has a hesitation to going into something new. Marriage is a new responsibility. So that new sense of responsibility, I don't want it. So Lycopodium doesn't want to get married because of a hesitation, a low confidence for taking up responsibility. But it's just for Nux Vomica, it's I will lose my freedom. That's the important factor. Inclination to commit suicide but is afraid to die. Now this is where miasm will help you to understand. Nux Vomica's miasm, if you go back to the miasm, it's predominantly soric. Psychosis is there, but syphilis you say is +1, just 1. But sora and psychosis is predominant. So when sora is predominant, there is always a fearful factor to Nux Vomica, to that remedy. And with Nux Vomica as well, they have sometimes, they will have suicidal impulses, but it's a soric miasm which will hold them back. I don't want to die, I'm afraid to die, because that's a soric fear which holds them back. If it was a syphilitic remedy, no fear at all, would jump and commit suicide, like your aura metallicum, like your mercury. But with Nux Vomica, because the soric miasm pulls them back and there is a fear to die. Dreams are full of bustle and hurry, always their hurry, bustle and hurry, like their life, the dreams are always full of bustle and hurry. Now if you see the mental essence here, one of the very important factors of understanding Nux Vomica is some of these important factors. Work focused. If you see this one, work focused. They are very work oriented, workaholics you can say for Nux Vomica. And at their workplace, everything should be always very particular, very clearly arranged. So they are very fastidious related to their work and always work focused, workaholic, career oriented, focused, competitive, ambitious. That competitive spirit develops in Nux Vomica from a very young age, because they want to be the toppers, they want to be the apexians. And they are confident, because what I have done it on my own merit, I have achieved it on my own, by my own rights. Nobody has helped me to reach where I have, and hence as a consequence of that, you can find arrogance in Nux Vomica as well. Urge to achieve, the conqueror, the dictatorial. So you'll find a lot of need for power in Nux Vomica. They want to be the topmost. They are actually, and they want to, it goes to a point where they love being rulers, they love being dictators. So you think of all the worldly dictators history has given us, and you'll find many of the constitutions to be with Nux Vomica, where they are very confident, very arrogant, not as pleasant as they are great. And again, another comparative materia medica with Lycopodium is, Lycopodium also loves power, but Lycopodium will be very good politicians. Why? Because Lycopodium has a diplomatic nature. I want this to be done. Can you do it for me, please? So they will put up their thoughts, but in a quietly right way. So Nux Vomica can be great dictators, can be great rulers, can be great conquerors, but Lycopodiums are great politicians, great ministers, because that diplomatic trait is what Lycopodium likes to maintain, although both these remedies have a strong love for power. Now if you see fastidious and fault finding, so very particular, this file should be arranged like this, file 1, file 2, file 3, it has to be like this, one cannot go above the other, and hence they are very fault finding. If Mr. Nux Vomica has a Baraita Carb employee, God help him, because he will always be on the lookout to find the fault, and anything that comes in the way of success, they will remove it. Will be sacked immediately. So very fastidious and fault finding. Workaholic, I shared that with you. Impatient, reaching a doctor's clinic, it's very crowded. I want to be seen immediately. I'll pay double, but I want to be seen immediately. Give me an immediate appointment. So that kind of impatience you will find with Nux Vomica. Waiting at the airport, the flight is delayed. Why is the flight delayed? I don't have time. Time is money for me. You have to give me a flight which will make me reach the destination in a very quick time. So I'll pay double. Money is not a factor for Nux Vomica. So that impatience will always be there for Nux Vomica. Rage, contradiction makes them mad. So anger from contradiction, that's also quite important for Nux Vomica. So that makes them mad as well. And if you see the basic natures, independent, that's why the fear of marriage. Impatience, always hide, wishes to be cured quickly. I want to be cured quickly. That's why you'll find Nux Vomica not sticking with the homeopath for a considerable period of time, because it's a time-taking procedure. So they're very impatient. That's why they're popping up the pills so much. Any ailment they have, their painkillers in their pockets, and they want to be cured quickly. Jealousy you have to understand, for Nux Vomica, it's a constructive jealousy. It's a positive, it's a jealousy which drives them in the positive direction. I seen my friend, achieve such great results. What I want to do is, I want to be better than him. You have to understand here, it's not the jealousy which you'll find with the Alzheimer's or other cases, where it's a negative jealousy. Oh, they have it, I don't. It's not like that for Nux Vomica. Nux Vomica's jealousy is a constructive jealousy where it's intermingled with competitive spirit. So they are competitive, they want to be successful, but at the same time, when they're seeing somebody being successful, it's the urge, that is a driving force. I want to be better than him. It's not why they have it. That will be told by cases, that will be told by APIS, that will be told by Alzheimer's. But I want to be better than him, I want to be better than her. So that competitive spirit is intermingled with jealousy in Nux Vomica. Fastidious, especially at workplace. If you consider the top fastidious remedies, you have that in graphitis, you have that in carcinosin, you have that in phosphorus. They're all fastidious. You have that in atmure, you have that in arsenic, obviously. But in case of Nux Vomica's fastidiousness, especially at the workplace should be absolutely spick and span. It should be absolutely clean. It's what you see in this picture here. He's at his workplace, his table, his desk, his pens are all arranged in such a manner, it's absolutely spick and span. So because that is the place where they spend most of their time, they're workaholics. So they'll spend most of the time at the workplace, and that should be absolutely clean. Their files should be absolutely clearly arranged, all on the computer, so that is not a hindrance to their success. So neatness and order is very essential for Nux Vomica's peace of mind. So they want everything to be neat, they want everything to be very, very tidy. If you compare that with arsenic's fastidiousness, remember arsenic is more fastidious about infection. So my house should be germ free, my house shouldn't have any infection. So that fear of infection, that fear of disease will drive arsenic to the point where they make their environment absolutely clean, absolutely spick and span. So that fear of disease, that fear of ill health is one of the driving reasons for arsenic to be very fastidious. Whereas if you compare that with phosphorus and carcinosin's fastidiousness, that's more about the beauty culture for phosphorus and carcinosin. I'll put on nice lipstick, I'll put on nice pair of earrings. I am beautiful, I'll do what it takes to make me more attractive so that I am the center of attention whenever I enter a party. So that's the phosphorus and carcinosin's beauty culture aspect. But in case of Nux Vomica, I spend most of my day at the workplace, and that should be absolutely spick and span, and that's what Nux Vomica is concerned about. If you see the mental essence here, aggressive and destructive I mentioned, but again remember, they are bound by the sodic miasm. So they can be shouting, they can be abusive, but they will not go to a point where they're hitting others, where they're damaging property. So although you'll have destructive behavior in Nux Vomica, but it's not a syphilitic destruction which you find with other remedies, and that's very important to understand for Nux. Now, one of the important things to understand is Nux is a remedy for the modern life. Nux is predominantly a male's remedy. I'll give you a quick summary of his life. Think of Nux Vomica, the top CEO of the company, the top boss of the company. And he wakes up in the morning and he goes for work. When he goes for work, you understand it's a sitting job. It's a sitting sedentary life. So Nux Vomica will always need stimulation to keep him active. And that stimulation he gets through coffee, he gets through tea, he gets through tobacco, cigarettes. So he always needs a stimulation to keep me going. There's also another reason, sleep as well. I'll come to that. He has worked up to 1:30, feels really sleepy. He goes to the retiring room, obviously he's the CEO, nobody's to question him. takes a 20-25 minute nap. And when he takes that nap, he wakes up even more refreshed. Nux Vomica is always better by taking a nap. He wakes up very refreshed. So 2 to 5 he works again efficiently and quite hard. 5 o'clock it's meeting with another company, another boss, and they need to go out for dinner. And whenever they go out for evening dinner, remember Nux Vomica loves his wine, loves his alcohol. So again, that's another form of stimulation. Wine keeps him going. Alcohol keeps him going. So nice dinner where he is lots of wine, and combine that with lots of meat. He loves rich, stimulating, spicy food and meat, and that is also stimulation to his taste buds. So he has that rich, spicy, stimulating food. He has the meat. He comes home. By 6, 7, 8, he starts to feel very sleepy. Remember, Nux's sleep is sun sets, Nux sleeps. Nux Vomica feels very sleepy in the evening hours. So sun sets, Nux sleeps. So that's very important for Nux Vomica. And then by 2 or 3 a.m. he wakes up. And when he wakes up by 2 or 3 a.m. he finds it difficult to going back to sleep again. And he wakes up in the morning very irritable, very unrefreshed. Now you have to understand here, perhaps from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock he had a good sleep, or 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock he had a good sleep. But it's when the later part of the night, the deeper part of the night, he's unable to sleep. And hence, because of lack of sleep in the deeper part of the night, he wakes up very unrefreshed, he wakes up very irritable. And that unrefreshed sleep is one of the reasons of taking a nap. That unrefreshed sleep is also one of the reasons for resorting to stimulants like tea, coffee and tobacco. So that keeps his mind going. And you see that doing this lifestyle day in, day out has taken a toll on him. And as a consequence of that, what happens? He suffers from tremendous gastric complaints, constipation, bloating, distension, hepatobiliary complaints he comes down with. Now if you see, this is a wonderful words from Boriquet's introduction. Nux is preeminently the remedy for conditions incident to modern life. Mental strains and leads a sedentary life. Prolonged office work, overstudy, so lots of overwork. He's involved in excessive mental exertion. And close application to business with his cares and anxieties. So lots of overwork with his business and lots of anxieties related to that. Indoor life and mental strain. Seek stimulants, coffee and wine. So stimulants, coffee and wine he needs. But you understand, remember, Nux Vomica can go to a point of alcoholism as well in certain cases. He quiets his excitement by indulging in sedative effects of tobacco or opium. His mind is so excited, sometimes he needs to quieten it by tobacco, by opium. These things are associated with indulgences at the table. He takes rich and stimulating food. So food which has a lot of spices, foods which are rich in spices, Nux Vomica loves that. And as I said, also meat. Wine and woman play their part to make him forget that close application of the day. He loves his wine and woman as well. Nux Vomica is disposed to sexual excesses. So many times at the weekend, there could be sexual parties, multiple sexual partners for Nux Vomica. Also one of the reasons why he doesn't want a marriage, because he will lose that independence, sexual independence as well. So 4 W's for Nux Vomica: wine, wealth, work and woman. So he loves his wine and alcohol. He loves work, so he's a workaholic. And by work he achieves the wealth, he achieves the money. And many times, remember, Nux Vomica may not be good looking persons, they may be thin, emaciated persons, but they'll put on a nice hat, they'll put on a nice coat, they'll put on a nice cigar on their when they are out on a party, and they'll make themselves attractive in such a way that it will attract attention. So he loves his wealth and woman. Sexual excess Nux Vomica is disposed to as well. Late hours are a consequence. A thick head, dyspepsia and irritable temper are the next day's inheritance. So as a consequence of a lot of overwork, he gets a headache, he gets dyspepsia and he becomes very, very irritable. Now he takes some pills and soon gets into the habit of taking these things, which further complicate matters. So you're constantly taking the pills, which further complicates the matters. Since these frailties are more yielded to by men than women, Nux Vomica is preeminently a male remedy. So you'll find these ailments more common in male than in women, hence it's mostly a male's remedy you'll find with Nux Vomica. Now also one of the important factors which I like to share with you is through some pictures how the behavior spans out. I've shared with you most of the aspects. A lot of alcoholism, but remember Nux Vomica won't go to a point to self-destruction. He takes alcohol only in good spirit because he likes the aspect where he enjoys it. It's a stimulation for him, but not to a point where it goes to the point of self-destruction. Very ambitious, very competitive. I shared with you the competitive spirit is intermingled with jealousy. So he's jealous of someone, but that's in a good faith. He's constructive and he likes to be successful. Angry, rage, I shared with you, not as pleasant as they're great. They may be the bosses, they may be the apexians, but not as pleasant as they are great. Very angry, bossy, dictatorial nature. I shared with you, they are the dictators, they are the rulers. So that bossy, dictatorial nature you'll find with Nux Vomica as well. You see, arrogant and confident. You see, may not be good looking, but they will behave, they will put on a hat, they will put on a nice suit where they make themselves attractive in such a way that you will notice them when they enter the room. Obviously the nature is like that, but they behave in such a way, they'll put on nice clothes. That fastidiousness is reflected in his appearance as well if he's a Nux Vomica. Arrogant, impatient, very bossy on his inferiors and his subordinates, and you may lose a job anytime if you have a Nux Vomica boss. Arrogant, money is honey, so they like to earn money, they like to earn wealth, they spend it on women, they spend it on wine, they'll spend it on buying nice attractive clothes. Very bossy, very dictatorial, always fault finding of his inferiors. Very bossy, very dictatorial nature. Competitive, I already shared that with you. Not as pleasant as they're great, so they're impatient and never as pleasant as they are great. You can have Nux Vomica woman as well, but as I shared, it's mostly adapted to male. The female counterpart of Nux Vomica workaholic nature is Mag-Carb. Magnesia Carb is the female counterpart of what is a male Nux Vomica. Very dictatorial, it's always shouting, verbal, rage, aggression that you'll find with Nux. Fastidious, you see, I shared this with you earlier as well, always cleaning, always very particular. Late night person with coffee. So they like to be awake at night. Many times Nux Vomica doesn't, he cannot sleep at night. Many times he's working on a activity, he's working on a business proposition, and he's keeping awake at night and he needs coffee to keep him awake. That's a stimulation. And that continued loss of sleep also has an impact on Nux Vomica's constitution. He gets even more irritable, he gets even more impatient. And it's one of your top remedies to have ailments from loss of sleep. Obviously Nux Vomica has sleeplessness, but he also has ailments from loss of sleep as well in Nux Vomica. Nap makes him better. Short sleep, 10-15 minutes, Nux Vomica, sulfur, they're always better by a nap. So anger and violence you'll also find with Nux Vomica to be very, very prominent, but again not destructive violence, and that's important. Very competitive, always want to be successful. As I shared, money is honey for Nux Vomica. Workaholic, always at the workplace, very busy, and they want to be the apexians. So that is about your Nux Vomica's emotional essence, emotional picture, and I hope I've been able to impart to you the behavior, the gesture, posture, the impatience which you'll find with one of these greatest polychrists. And there are many Nux Vomicas around you. You may not have to be always the CEOs, but the bossy dictatorial nature, the impatience will always be for you to see. And remember Hahnemann's great words, chiefly successful to the persons of an ardent character, irritable, impatient temperament, disposed to anger, spite or deception. Thank you very much.